Hi everybody and welcome along to today's NALP webinar. We'll be looking at the new Level 4 qualification, which will be coming out in January of 2025. This is our last webinar of 2024, but don't worry, we have a whole season lined up for next year. Let me now introduce you to everybody from NALP who's joining us on this webinar today. My name is Chantal Cook. I'm one of the directors of NALP and I will be your host for the webinar. Answering the difficult questions will be our CEO, Jane Robson. Also in the background will be our former CEO and our patron, that's Amanda Hamilton. And looking after the techie stuff in the background, there's Nigel, who looks after all the marketing at NALP as well. That's Nigel Davey. So let's get started and let's talk about this new Level 4 qualification. So Jane, can I ask you, can you just basically tell us what is it? So tell us what the Level 4 qualification is.
Right. Well, it's a brand new qualification called the NALP Level 4 Certificate for Associate Paralegals. So it links up with our Associate Paralegal membership level. It's made up of 4 units of study. It is supposed to be the next step from the Level 3 for Paralegal Technicians that we launched earlier this year. It's the second of our new suite of qualifications. So there will be a Level 5, a Level 6 and a brand new Level 7 coming over the course of 2025 and 2026. So yeah, it's looking at making sure that it's fit for purpose moving forward. It's more modern. We've changed the assessment a bit. So it fits in with today's paralegals far more.
Which actually kind of brings me on to my next question, which is kind of why are you replacing it? Because NALP already had a Level 4 diploma, so why replace it and why turn this into a certificate?
Well, the diploma is a brilliant qualification, but it's 10 units, which is quite a heavy workload for a learner, and can be quite difficult for some of our centres as well to deliver in an academic year. So it was when we were looking at the suite of qualifications that we offer, we were looking at how best to move this forward that was going to work better for our learners, better for our centres, but still give people what they wanted out of it and give them the opportunity to progress their sort of academic journey as a paralegal. And so we looked at what are the most sort of important units in the Level 4, and we've kept those within the Level 4, and then the other subjects are going to be going into the Level 5 and the Level 6, etc., because they tend to be higher level. They require a slightly higher level of understanding. So the new way that it's going to be set out will be far more along a similar line to those that are doing like a law degree or something like that, and how it's split out over the years for a law degree. So that's what we've been looking at.
Okay. Does that mean that the old Level 4 diploma, if you've got that, it's kind of not worth having now? Is that what that means?
Not at all. I mean, the old Level 4 diploma was and still is a really good qualification. This is just about making sure that we are in the best place to provide what is needed for today's paralegals and for the learners that are coming through today, because the legal sector has changed so much over the last sort of 10 years since all this was first designed. Our qualification suite was first designed and everything. So it's right that we now look at it to try and make sure that these are fit for purpose and give what they want. And with the change in the introduction, of the SQE, and how the legal sector is trying to encourage a more diverse range of people coming through and joining the legal sector, it also makes sense. And this gives people more stepping off points in their learning journey. So they can do a level 3 and step off and take a break. They can come back and do a level 4, etc. So it makes it easier for them when they're trying to fit this in with their normal working lives as well.
So it sounds like it's about flexibility, and it also in a way means that you can progress easier in a sense, because you haven't got to do this massive great thing in order to get to the next stage. You can take it in steps, you know, as you say, eating the elephant one bite at a time, for want of a better expression. Not that I eat elephants.
It is a bit that way. Yeah, it's just, it seems to fit more. We did do a consultation with our centres and with some employers as well, and this proved a very popular way to take the qualification suite forward. We did get a lot of feedback, and a lot of people have said that they love the level 4 and they like the learning materials, and we're not like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as it were, here. But it's just that they found it difficult to deliver, especially if they were more traditional centres, more traditional colleges and things. They found it difficult to deliver because there was so much. So they couldn't do it in a full year, but it also wasn't quite 2 years. So one way or another, it wasn't fitting with people. And there was also some feedback about some of the subjects that we were covering. Well, that would normally be a higher level. That would normally be in the next stage of a degree or something like that. So we've taken all of that on board.
Great. But NALP will actually be finishing off the previous level 4 diploma, and that will no longer be available once the certificate's available. Is that correct? And what was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, mostly logistically, because from a regulatory perspective, if you can't kind of have 2 qualifications that are almost the same running at the same time. And whilst this is a certificate, and the reason it's a certificate rather than a diploma is just because it is smaller, and the way that the regulations state you have to title using award, certificate or diploma is based on the size of the qualification. So that's why this is a certificate and not a diploma, because it is smaller than the old diploma. However, we have to keep all of our qualifications updated at all times. And obviously, the more qualifications that we've got, the harder that is to do. So it makes more sense to have a dedicated suite of qualifications that gives a very clear path of learning for all the students that come on and decide to do this, as well as giving them all the times that they can step off, and they haven't got to do it all in 3 years or 4 years or 6 years or whatever it is, that they can take breaks in between.
Okay. And when will this new level 4 qualification be available and the old one retired?
The new qualification should be available by the end of January. We are just in the process of sending everything for proofreading, all the learning materials and everything. So we are very nearly there. So after Christmas, I will be putting it up on the Ofqual register and getting qualification specifications and things out to people. The old level 4 will still be available for enrolments until the 1st of April, and then it will close for new enrolments. Everybody that is currently doing a level 4 will still have their full period of 2 years to complete it, or 2.5 years if they've got reasonable adjustments, that sort of thing. So everyone that's on the current level 4 will still be able to complete it, will you know, still get full recognition and everything for that. Certification for that won't end until 2.5 years hence.
All right, I think that probably answers a lot of the basic questions to kind of give us an understanding of where we're going with this. I noticed that there's lots of questions coming in on the chat, so I think it would be good to go through some of those. Maybe if I can do the first couple, Nigel, and then pass over to you, as you'll be able to tell which ones maybe have been answered. So I think we know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. This is from Ruth. I've completed a level 3 employment law diploma with TUC, I'm guessing maybe TLC. Would the level 4 certificate be suitable as a next step?
Yes, it would. For those that haven't done our level 3 for paralegal technicians, we will just ask that they do the legal research part of the current level 3 paralegal technicians, which their centre will be able to informally assess them on. It won't go towards their overall mark, but the legal research is very important for the whole suite of qualifications and, helping them get through all of that. So that's the only thing that we say. If someone hasn't done our full level 3 for paralegal technicians, they just do that legal research, but they can do that with their own centres. It's not a formal assessment that has to come through us or anything.
Okay. Deanna asks, she says, I did a law degree, but it was about 17 years ago. I'm looking to transfer my units across. Which course should she go for? Is this the level 4?
If she's got an LLB, we still have the level 7, so can move into that. It will depend on what she's covered in her law degree, where the law degree was taken, if it's a UK law degree. There's a lot of things that I would have to know. That it's not one straightforward answer, unfortunately, because of the entry criteria for the level 7. But yeah.
Okay, so either give NALP a call or talk to your centre would be the advice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, we can't answer that for you directly, Deanna, but hopefully at least you point you in the right direction of where to go to find out the answer.
Yeah.
Briefly, I've got a question as well. What are the 4 units of study and the method of assessment? I think that is actually an interesting thing to talk about. So maybe you could give us a bit more information on that.
Yeah, the 4 things that will be studied will be the English legal system, which whilst we do touch on obviously in the introduction to law at level 3, this goes into more depth than the level 3. The other 3 units are the law of tort, employment law and practice, and criminal law. So that's going to be the 4 units. All of our for our new suite of qualifications, every qualification is going to be based on 4 units of study. For the assessment for this, 60% of the mark will come from a multiple choice question paper, where there'll be 30 questions and about 45 minutes to take those 30 questions. That will be done using our online proctoring system. So that's a much less subjective way of assessing somebody's knowledge, just base knowledge. There will then be 40% of their mark will be on an assignment, and they will have to do 4,000 words. Currently, they have to do 7,000 words for every single assignment, which you can imagine with 10 units, that's an awful lot of writing and everything currently. So this is 4 units. It's 4,000 words. Is the maximum. If they can do it in less, we don't have a minimum, but we do have a maximum. And if they can do that, they've got 3 weeks in which to do that, and that's 40% of their mark. And that's kind of where they would be able to really get into their merit and distinction and stuff. It is on that, because they can have a pass, a merit, or a distinction.
Okay, lovely. Emily asks, if I've done the new level 4 certificate, what would I go on to next after that?
The new level 5 diploma, which is coming out spring 2025, late spring. So sort of June-ish time is the current thinking. We will be launching that, and That will cover land law and conveyancing, business law and practice, matrimonial and civil, and public and EU law. So that's the plan for the level 5 diploma currently.
Okay.
We are also looking at the new advanced paralegal apprenticeship and making sure that we can map some of that to that.
Lovely. I've jumped down on the questions because I see, Nigel, that you're in the background answering a lot of the ones and giving people links to things. So hopefully for those people that those questions I'm not reading out, it is because those questions have already been answered, either in a previous question or because Nigel sent you a link. If you feel it's not been answered, then please kind of ask it again down the bottom and it will come up as a new question for me to look at. But one of them was about second chances. So what happens if you don't pass the exam? Can you retake it? How does that work?
That's fine. Yes, obviously, we do have a, you do one assessment. If they don't pass that, they get a free new assessment, a free go, a second try, as it were. If they don't pass that, they can also do a third attempt, but they do have to pay for those, the third attempts. So that's basically just to cover the cost of the proctoring for the MCQ or for the assessment for the assignment.
So if you panic and go blank, don't worry, you can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and Joanna asks, what are the pass grades for the multiple choice and written assignments?
Similar to currently, the pass grades for the MCQs will be between 65 and 70%. Off top of my head, because that's a Tom question, I have to say.
And we'll be speaking to Tom on the 16th of January at the webinar, so do join us then.
And the assignments are 45%. So that's for the whole assignment. So the assignment will be 45% for that assignment, and then we aggregate the two out. So the end result tends to be around the 60% mark between the two, if you see what I mean. It's difficult to explain when there's two different types of assessments. So yeah, that's
okay. Emily has another question. The units in the level 5 you mentioned, are some of those the same as the ones that were in the level 4 diploma? I think you kind of covered that those units are now being moved across into the different levels.
They move it, and of course they will be stepped up in sort of the complexity of the learning and how in depth we go into those, because that's the other thing with having only 4 units rather than 10, is we can go into far more complexity and far more depth into those topics. Public and EU law, which is coming at level 5, is completely new. We've never covered that before in any of our previous units or at any level. So that will be completely new to people.
And I think that kind of, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just, so yeah, it's not exactly the same, but yeah, we are moving them into the other levels.
Which I think answers Emily's second part of the question, which is changing to multiple choice as 60% of the mark. She would see, doesn't that making it easier and therefore devaluing it? But I think what you're saying really is, yes, the whole point of this certificate is to make it not easier to do the exam, but easier to get through that, to move to the next level, and to separate things into things that are this type of assignment versus this type of assignment.
It's also about recognizing that at this level you are gaining knowledge, and knowledge is something that we can assess using multiple choice questions. The other thing that we're also having to think about is AI and the use of AI, and all awarding organisations are having this issue of what is the most secure way of getting assessing people without them being able to, well, basically cheat using AI and us being able to detect it. One of the ways is by using problem-based questions, which is what we do in our current assignments, but AI is improving all the time. So we are assessing the knowledge at the level 4, just the knowledge of what they gain on the MCQ. The assignment is about them being able to apply that knowledge to specific scenarios. And that shows that they've actually got a deeper understanding. It's not just that they're, just reciting things that they've learnt without actually understanding them and how they apply to the law in practice.
Lovely. Also a question, do you have to do the new level 4 before you can go to level 5 if you've already done the level 3 diploma? So can you go from the level 3 diploma straight to level 5, or do you have to do the level 4?
We would take it on a case by case at this point, because sometimes it can also depend on what experience you've had in between. It will, if someone has only done the level 3 diploma and hasn't actually done anything practical in their experience and gained experience in it, then we would probably say, no, really, you could do with doing the level 4. But if they have got full experience, then if they've been working as a paralegal and things like that, so they've been applying their knowledge and everything, then there may be opportunity for people to kind of skip a level because they've got that additional experience.
So again, advice would be chat with NALP or talk to your centre, and they'll be able to advise you on which is the best qualification for you and your particular circumstances.
Yes.
Lovely. Can you give us a rough idea of the cost of this new level 4?
Gosh. I believe we did do it and I've not got the things. I will
okay, so we'll be adding that to the website.
And I will it will be added to the website. It's going to be slightly more than the current level 4, but it's not going to be, hugely out of the ballpark.
And our qualifications, I should remind everybody, are very cost effective.
Yeah, that is the cost to centres. We do not do anything about the cost to individuals. I'm sorry, we can't tell you that, because that's up to each individual centre. We give centres the costs that we charge for our qualifications, and then what they then charge on top of that to their students is outside of our control.
So I guess then the advice there would be to check with the centres and choose a centre based on, obviously, partly the price, because we all choose things a little bit based on price, but also choose it based on whether its learning system works for you. Is it remote? Is it in person? Is it hybrid? What support are they offering? All those kind of things. So I think it's probably one of those things where it's a much bigger question than just, here it is, plug in, off we go kind of thing.
Yes, it is, because obviously we are responsible for doing the assessment. We're the awarding organisation, so we've designed it. We're writing all the learning materials, etc. But the delivery of the learning is down to the individual centres.
One of our training centres was actually asking about the enrolment eligibility and how that will compare to the requirements and prerequisites for the current level 4 diploma.
The new level 4 certificate will be a very similar entry requirements. We have built it so that it is a natural step on from the level 3 for paralegal technicians, but also so those who perhaps have already got some experience as working in the legal sector, or previously did like an A-level in law, or have something else that they've done, they can go on and just come in and do the level 4. because obviously we understand that the level 3 is the equivalent to an A level. Level 4 is mapped generally around the year 1 of a degree. So if you think of it that way, so if someone's got, you know, some previous experience or higher level of qualifications elsewhere, then they may well be able to just come in at the level 4, so same as they do now. Again, if you go, it's one of those things of speak to the centre, speak to us, or your centre can speak to us, whichever, and we can advise on a more individualised basis.
So as a quick recap, this new level 4 certificate will be launching early part of next year, but the diploma, the current level 4, will still be available right up until the 1st of April. So if you really want to get started quickly, or you don't fancy the idea of that, you fancy the idea of the other one, no problem. You've still got plenty of time. If you're already doing your level 4, again, don't worry. Those will still be assessed in the same way, and you'll still get your qualification at the end of it, and so on. Plus, of course, you've got a level 5 coming out later in 2025, and then more qualifications coming on.
Yeah, level 6 and level 7 are 2026. So
we'll tell you more about those a bit nearer the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this, our last webinar of 2024. Thank you so much for coming along and for all your questions. We hope we've managed to answer them for you. Any other questions, let us know. I said, do drop us an email or give us a call or whatever, and we'll do our best to answer them. Please do fill in the feedback link that Nigel has put into the chat. We'd love to hear your kind of feedback on the webinars. We also like to know what other topics you'd like in the future. So let us know that. If there's a topic that we haven't covered yet or I haven't mentioned earlier, then do let us know and we'll try and put that into the system too. In the meantime, just want to say thank you so much to everybody that's joined us. Thank you to Jane, our CEO, for answering today's questions, and for Nigel being in the background there dealing with the kind of the background stuff. And I also need to mention Nigel because you don't get a lot of screen time, but you are busy in the background. And thanks also to our patron Amanda Hamilton for joining us today as well. Thank you to all of you. We'd like to, all of us from here at NALP, we'd like to wish you a really, really lovely Christmas. We hope you have a fantastic time, whatever that means to you, whether it's family or a bit of quiet time or partying, whatever it is, we hope it's a fantastic one for you, and the same for the new year. And let's look forward to a really, really wonderful year in 2025 for all of us and for the paralegal sector in general as well. So from all of us here at NALP, thank you for joining us and happy Christmas.